Hello all. The next topic that we will be discussing is Coulomb scattering. We had discussed something related to scattering, some basics related to scattering, and expression for differential cross section and the number of particles scattered from a target, etc. We had derived already before, and we will be specifically discussing Coulomb scattering, elastic Coulomb scattering, which is also called as Rutherford scattering. And it was based on the scattering experiments that were performed by Geiger and Marsden and the mathematical formulation that Rutherford gave to all the experimental observations that these two people obtained. And that was what led to the discovery of existence of something called nucleus. And so here we will be discussing what happens to a particle when it approaches a charged particle, when it approaches a nucleus. And the particle, when it is approaching from far off, it will have only kinetic energy and negligible potential energy. And as it approaches, its kinetic energy reduces, it becomes more of potential energy, and then it gets deflected due to the repulsive force exerted on it by the nucleus. So we can just look at the schematic of what happens to a particle when it approaches a nucleus and the energy at different points of its approach. And this is the geometry of a Rutherford scattering process. So here you have a particle which comes in with a velocity v, and from far off distances, if you look at the energy of the particle, the potential energy will be close to zero. Kinetic energy will be half mv square if it's traveling with a velocity v, and the angular momentum with respect to the nucleus would be mvb, where b is the perpendicular distance between the direction of motion of the particle and the uh, position where the nucleus is situated. Okay, and as the particle comes in, it reaches a minimum distance from the nucleus. That's where its velocity will be minimum, and kinetic energy would be half mv minimum square. Potential energy would be like this, and of course it's Coulombic potential energy, it would be like this, and your angular momentum would be something like this. The absolute minimum distance would be when the particle comes in head on to the nucleus, and that is where you have the particle coming in and its velocity decreasing, and finally its velocity becomes zero at a point, and that distance is called the distance of closest approach, and there it stops and it reverts its direction back to the direction from which it came from. And at that point, you just have potential energy, which is given by this expression with the distance of closest approach in the denominator, and its kinetic energy would be zero. And from the law of conservation of energy, its initial energy, if you kinetic, it's fully kinetic. If you take it as half m v naught square, it would be equal to the potential energy. It has just converted entirely into potential energy at this point. Initially it was purely kinetic, and here it is purely potential. And at intermediate points, the energy is partly kinetic and partly potential energy. Now, if we consider the scattering process, we can see that it has a cylindrical symmetry about the beam axis. So, you can just imagine a beam of particles are coming in, and this is where your target nucleus is. And beam of particles, some may come head on to the nucleus, some may be at a distance of b, some may be at a distance of say b plus db. Okay, and some may be at far off distances where it is not affected by nuclear forces. We are not interested in that distance. Now let us consider particles falling onto the target with impact parameters b as well as b plus db. So you can just imagine this is your nucleus, target nucleus, with impact parameter b, means it's a beam of particles coming in. So you can just imagine everywhere there will be particles. We have just drawn just one particle coming in. It's not possible to draw everything. So you can just imagine particles coming in and falling onto this nucleus, onto this target at distance at an impact parameter b. So it will be falling on a ring of say radius b. And then you can imagine another set of particles coming in with impact parameter b plus db. Now those falling with impact parameter b would be scattered at a little bit more larger angle compared to the ones falling in at b plus db, because the ones which are approaching closer to the nucleus will feel the impact more of nuclear forces, and they will be deflected at a little bit more larger angle when compared to the ones which are falling at larger impact parameter. Okay, so you can just consider that particles are scattered in rings which make an angle theta and theta plus d theta with respect to the target nucleus. Now, let us assume that the target has n nuclei per unit volume. Okay, and we assume that the target is so thin that there is it's just one atom thick. So there is no shadowing of one nuclei over the other. So basically the incident particles get scattered only once. There's no multiple scattering. Okay, that's a basic assumption. Now if the target has n nuclei per unit volume, and if we look at the number of nuclei per unit area, it is nx if x is the thickness of the target. Okay, so n is number per unit volume and x is thickness. So the number of nuclei per unit area would be nx. And the fraction of particles df, fraction of incident particles that pass through the annular ring of area 2 pi b db, is given by df equal to nx times 2 pi b db. Now what is 2 pi b db? Particles with impact parameters between b and b plus db. Okay, they will fall on an annular ring of this area. So the number, and those many target atoms are available for scattering, and if we assume each particle gets scattered once, then the fraction of incident particles passing through that annular ring would be given by this expression. Now, if we consider the fraction f with impact parameters less than b, then it would be nx pi b square. Okay. Now here you can see the hyperbolic trajectory of the scattered particle. The instantaneous position vector of the particle has been depicted by r, which keeps on changing length and direction as the particle approaches. Actually, it is longer when the particle is here, and when it approaches, it becomes shorter and shorter, and it reaches a minimum point at one instance, and then it again becomes larger and larger as the particle moves away. Now, since this is an elastic scattering, and since we assume that the target is so massive compared to the incoming particle, and it doesn't move in the scattering process. So there's no transfer of energy between the incident particle and the target. Therefore, the momentum, the linear momentum of the incident particle doesn't change in magnitude, but it changes only in direction. And the net change in momentum vector is shown in this diagram. If we assume that the initial momentum is mv naught, and if we assume the particle is coming in this direction and then it is getting deflected in this direction, the magnitude of momentum remains the same, but the change by parallelogram law would be in this direction, in the direction of bisector of this angle. Okay, if we assume this is theta, then the rest would be pi minus theta, and the resultant would be making an angle of half pi minus theta with the incident particle direction. Okay, that comes from basic geometry, and we can obtain from this right angle triangle that this distance is mv naught sine theta by 2, and therefore delta p can be written as twice mv naught theta by 2. All this comes from basic geometry.